Well, to compete in the primaries, Christie needs a whole lot of money. Mitt Romney and Hillary Clinton both raised hundreds of millions, $223 million for Clinton, $105 million for Romney, and that wasn't enough. They lost in 2008. The ultimate winner, Barack, winning with a cool $745 million. Can Christie get that kind of cash? Bill Burton is Obama's money man. The former White House deputy press secretary is senior strategist of Priorities USA, a super PAC, which means it can raise super large amounts of money, set up to re-elect the president. Kevin Madden knows the Romney camp. He was campaign advisor for Romney in 2008. So I really appreciate both of you being with us. Let me start with you, Bill. From our reporting, it's possible that there could have been PACs created to raise money for Chris Christie that we're sort of in a quiet period right now, and we may not know for a few days. Do you think that he could raise the money purely technically if he got in this week?
I think if folks are really seriously committed to raising money for a super PAC, he certainly could have millions of dollars in his super PAC from the moment that he decides to go. But it's interesting to me that there still is so much clamoring out there for somebody else to get into this race who isn't Mitt Romney. I think that's what Chris Christie says more than anything else about the boomlet of energy and attention around it. And
let me ask you about that question, Kevin, because it's true. Yep. Mitt Romney's numbers for the third quarter have come out in terms of fundraising. They were down. A lot of people, Republicans, have been telling me they're sort of waiting, and if Christie got in, that might change the math of who they gave money to. So if Christie does not get in, does that mean you're going to see a surge of money for Romney? I mean, how much do you think's on the sidelines?
Well, I think it's hard to see a surge of money right now. Look, I think it's a very competitive fundraising environment. I think the economy has an effect on that, and I do think that money follows momentum oftentimes in politics. And right now, the race has been very unsettled for a long period of time, so nobody really has had an opportunity to get the kind of momentum that's going to bring money with it. So I think it'll be a few more months before you see a lot of these folks, these big dollar folks, that will start coming off the sidelines, so to speak, and will move behind somebody who they think has momentum and can unite the party and eventually serve as the nominee going against Barack Obama. But I still think that's not here yet. But there is a giant, I will say this, and Bill knows this because he probably has to do this all day dialing for dollars on the Democrat side.
Yep.
There is a canyon between the promise of money and the actual raising of money, and that would probably be the big challenge for a potential Christie candidacy.
It's Bill. I mean, that's something, you know, Chris Christie seems to be well aware of. I'm curious, though, Bill, from some of the big executives I've spoken to who are Democrats gave to Barack Obama last time around, this time say they'd like to give Christie. Now, they could be talking more than they would actually act, but do you see some hesitance on donors on your side as well, where once the Christie issue is resolved, if he's not in, you could see a surge?
Well, I think that any surge is going to go in a Republican direction more than any. I don't doubt you're reporting on Democrats saying that they like Chris Christie. I know that some of them have relationships with him, and I do know that some of the things that the president did on Wall Street to tighten the rules and make things tougher for banks and financial institutions didn't make everybody on Wall Street happy, but it was what he thought was the right thing to do. So I think that any manifestation of a Christie campaign is going to have a bigger impact on the Republican field than the Democratic.
And Bill, what about this whole idea we were just talking about from the Wall Street protests, that there is this kind of need for a messiah or someone to solve all of the problems? Obviously, Barack Obama was that guy, and it's really hard for anybody to live up to being that person, right? Nobody ever lives up to the hopes and fears of everybody out there. So do you think that Chris Christie should be worried about the same thing?
Well, I think that Chris is a long way from having articulated a vision for this country that's going to do anything to appease the people who are on Wall Street. As your own reporting showed, it seemed like those folks didn't even have a clear sense of what the problem was or what they were out there fighting for. So I think that this race will come down to the economy. Who can make the better argument of their vision for where our economy ought to go and how we ought to get there? And I don't think that changes whether or not Chris Christie gets in. I think that's the case whether it's Christie, Romney, Perry, Bachmann, or whomever.
Kevin, Bill, thanks to both. Appreciate it.
Congrats on the new show, Erin.
All right, thanks, and good to see you.